Hello and welcome back to the Pastor's Q&A. I am Pastor Ryan. This here is Pastor Jeremy, and we are excited to bring you another question. This one comes from the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 5. And so let me read a little bit from Revelation so we can read it in context here. It says this. This is a letter to the church in Sardis. It says, I know your works. You have the reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Wake up and strengthen what remains and is about to die, for I have not found your works complete in the sight of my God. Remember then what you received and heard. Keep it and repent. If you will not wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what hour I will come against you. Yet you have still a few names in Sardis, people who have not soiled their garments, and they will walk with me in white, for they are worthy. The one who conquers will be clothed thus in white garments, and I will never blot out his name from the book of life. I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. And so our question comes from that phrase in chapter 5, and it says, what does Revelation 3:5 mean when it says, I will not blot out his name from the book of life?
Good. A little bit of context about what this is all about. This is one of the seven churches that's addressed in Revelation here, and specifically, where there's a bone to pick with each of the churches, right? And so this particular one, it says, "Hey, you have a reputation, Sardis, for being known for life, but really it's death." And so, what is that? Actually, interestingly enough, Sardis had a history of being known for having this impregnable citadel. Kind of if you know Lord of the Rings, and the Two Towers, Helm's Deep was this citadel. There's like they said in the movie, no one in the book, no one can conquer Helm's Deep, but then it was. Well, essentially, it was certainly breached. Well, here, Sardis, they were known for having this impregnable citadel, but in recent history, it had been sacked like at least two times, but maybe as many as three times. And so they had this. They were kind of known for, okay, you're known for this famous impregnable citadel, but you keep on getting waylaid here. And so in the same way, the church is known for, you were known for life, but actually death is at work in you. Well, what is that death? What is it that is dangerous? What is it that, the language there is that, the garments have been soiled of some, but not for all. Well, it could be a variety of things. What does it mean that death is at work in a church? Could be that they're not growing any longer. It could be that they just become spiritually stagnant in some way. It could mean that they've embraced some sort of heresy. But what a number of commentators believe is that it had to do with the curse of Minim. It sounds like a weird movie from the 80s, yeah, right? The curse of Nim. Or is it The Secret of Nim? Right?
Oh, yeah,
cartoon.
Is this the same thing?
I don't think so. I remember that movie I wanted to see because it was a cartoon, but it terrified me, so I stopped it halfway through. But anyway,
I think that one
curse
was before my time.
So yeah, it was in the early 80s, I think. The curse of Minim, though, was under the reign of Emperor Domitian, the Roman emperor. Up to this point, the Christianity was not recognized as an official religion by the state, and so they couldn't assemble and meet without persecution. But if what they did to kind of work around that is they said, well, we're a sect of Judaism, so we can meet in the synagogues, and we're basically a sect of Judaism, and so we're okay. Well, the curse of Minim got away with dissolved that. And so that Christian, you can't meet in that way. And so the Christians of that day were faced with three options: deny Christ, just embrace full-on Judaism, or face the persecution that would come. Mm-hmm. And so this promise, this where it says, if you, well, again, to read it specifically, the one who conquers will be clothed thus in white garments, and I will never blot his name out of the book of life. That this is a promise. Now, some might read it as a threat, like, oh no, does that mean you might not make it in the Lamb's book of life? Well, no, this is an assurance he's giving to those who are standing true to the confession of Christ, even in the face of incredible persecution that was about to come their way. Because the persecution that came in the hands of the Roman Empire was a lot harsher than comes in Western culture, right?
Yeah.
And so this was serious persecution. It wasn't you're going to be made uncomfortable at work, or you're going to be, canceled, or not to minimize any of that, but this was, you might be, petted on a pike, or you might be flayed, and you're thrown into the Colosseum to fight. This is horrific stuff.
Oh yeah, and one thing that I read that they did was they would take Christians, put them on a pike like that, or on a cross, and then soak them in oil and light them on fire to use as lighting for governors' parties. And so they would party in the light of the burning flesh of Christians. And so that's some serious persecution.
Yeah, and so so there's some who are going, well, okay, they're trying to maybe be practical. Okay, let's just do this, just to preserve ourselves. Let's either deny Christ or let's just go into Judaism. It's still the Bible, or whatever justification they may have made, if that was what was going on. But what Jesus is saying here is that those who stand true to and stay in faith with me and do not deny me, your names will be written, and I will not remove your name from the book of life. And when we think of our names being written down, we don't think of that as being a big deal. Like if you see your name online or in a church directory, or if you go to date me a little bit, the Yellow Pages or whatever, the White Pages, the phone book. Well, remember the movie The Jerk with Steve Martin?
Yeah.
When he was so excited his name was in the phone book, right?
Do they even make those anymore?
I don't think so. I hope not. Just for guys to rip them in half, right? For a feat of strength, like the power team or whatever. No, but anyway, so for us to see our name in print or digitally, it's no big deal. But back then, that was a big deal. Like the only way your name was written down anywhere was like if you were officially put on the town register or something like that. And actually, when they would execute someone, when the state or the city decided we're going to execute this guy, they would first erase their name from the ledger of the town ledger, erase their name from the book, and then they'd execute them. And so they're facing that potentially, right? These Christians. And Jesus is saying, if you do not deny me, if you stay true to what you know to be true, what I've revealed to you in my gospel, then I won't forget you. It reminds me of what Matthew says, quotes Jesus as saying in the 10th chapter of Matthew, verse 28. It says, "And do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father? But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows. So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I will acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will deny before my Father who is heaven." And so it's what does it mean? Well, to answer the question real directly, what does it mean when it's talking about the name not being removed or blotted out of the book of life? It means you're safe. You're secure. There's another part in Luke 10 where the disciples come back from casting out demons and doing a variety of things after they've been sent out to do ministry, and they're saying, "Guess what happened, Jesus? We spoke, we prayed for these demons to be cast out, and they were." And Jesus says, "Don't rejoice about that, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven."
Good.
And so that is that is the best. That's the top, right? And that we can have assurance in that forever. So that it's a promise to a church that was experiencing a very difficult situation. And apparently some were saying, let's go another route. But others, he said, those of you who are not, you're not going to deny me.
Good.
You're safe.
Awesome. Well, that's great assurance. Thank you for that. And thank you so much for tuning in. And you can submit a question online. We will see you next time.